Amazing. Welcome back to the Insider series. We are very lucky today. We have Jack from Oddity Management. Jack manages the Wytches, St. Leonard, and it's incredible to have him on. Every week we sit down with people actually running the industry, big contacts, and stay with Jack. He's brilliant. If you're an unsigned artist figuring out how to get someone like Jack to notice you, you need to watch this one to the very end. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk to Jack and break down kind of opportunities, connections, the stuff that IS don't always get to hear. And that's exactly what we build the Backstage Pass for. Every day we drop real opportunities into the app, whether it's sync placements, playlisting, radios, and we put all the information. So if you want to watch this back, it will be on YouTube and in there. Jack, I want you to take you back to the very start. How did you actually get into management?
Wow. I was in loads of really terrible indie bands when I was younger. Um, and one of my old bands, kind of been through the ringer of, being signed, being dropped, being signed, being dropped. It happens quite a lot, in sort of emerging bands. But what it did mean is I was kind of around the industry people, for better or worse. So I kind of had some contacts, and then I went to uni and then met a bunch of people that wanted to get into music, and I became the sort of de facto advice person for them. I kind of knew a little bit allegedly of what I was talking about, and then they started doing really well. So I kind of went, okay, well maybe there's something in this. So I started managing a band called Fraulein, who are this like really cool two-piece grungy duo. Got them signed, and then it's kind of been downhill since there. Really. So that was about 10 years ago. So.
I've actually seen and done some content with the Witches, and I absolutely adore them. Obviously, Saint Leonard as well, incredible. What did you see early on that made you go all in with these two acts?
Well, both of those two acts kind of came to me a bit more developed. The Witches have been around for 10 years, sort of, I would say at least 6 of those were without me. So it was kind of more of a taking an existing artist and kind of consolidating what they had. The same with St. Leonard. But, I think I kind of look at artists, regardless of what level of the industry they're on, like a similar litmus test of, is the music good? Is the music exciting? And that's kind of step one. And then from that point on, it kind of, the pieces are a bit easier to put in, whether something is kind of going to work or not. Those are the bits that I can do. The bit that I can't do is the music any good? So that's kind of what I saw first of all.
The music's always the asset, isn't it? It's the most important thing. Don't let anyone else tell you different. Tell me some of the differences of working with an artist right at the start with this duo and grunge compared to an artist that's a little bit further on with the Witches. Does the job change much depending on that? What are the key differences?
Yeah, definitely. I think with an emerging artist, it's all about putting the things in place. So all they have is all they have is the music, essentially. So you're quite literally going through putting the entire team together from scratch, building a brand from scratch, building an audience, all these kind of things. So it's a lot more labor intensive. Whereas if somebody comes with 10 years worth of experience or 5 years worth of experience or any kind of footing in the industry whatsoever, it's kind of more of a, how do we consolidate and build on what they have already?
Mm.
So it's more of a redecoration rather than sort of like building from a foundation,
I love
zero.
that. So it's actually really interesting to hear that. I've not heard the manager break it down like that. Guys, everyone in the chat in this webinar, please put your questions in the comments because at the end you will have a bit of a Q&A directly with Jack. In the meantime, I've got a few that I wanna pin down and actually get. When you're looking at an artist, we spoke of the song quality there, performance live. Is there something you really care about? Is it numbers? Is it streamings? Is it socials? Is it live turnout? Or am I completely off track? Is there other metrics that you would look at as a manager?
Um, all of the above, definitely. For me, in kind of the music that I do, primarily, which is kind of bands and live performance. Live performance is kind of the main metric I'll go off if it's like an emerging artist, um, because it's the best way of telling if what they're doing is landing.
Mm.
Um, it's a sort of immediate it's a good sign if an artist that really shouldn't be putting in the number of live people actually ends up putting in, 50, 100 people before we've actually done anything. Because that proves that what they have, they're already using to their best sort of advantage. Now, obviously, streaming numbers and social numbers are really useful if you have them. But that's the kind of stuff I know I can build on. It is way more important to the sort of industry at large, I would say. So if me as a manager, the way I perceive it is slightly different to how somebody from a record label, an A&R, a live, booking agent or promoter, they're going to be way more focused on the metrics because they want to know that there's something that they can work with right now. Whereas as a manager, I'm kind of looking at, okay, we haven't got those numbers yet, but I know I can help you get to that point. So it's kind of more even further back in the sort of development. That's where I need to know that there's something there I can get my teeth into.
These are absolutely like little gold bites you're giving us here. And I'm going to put you on the spot now with some of these ones. What's the difference between an artist who reaches out well to you and one that reaches out badly? Has a cold DM ever worked and you've ended up managing them in the long term?
Yeah, I got a cold DM from a band called Lamborghini Girls, which was
Yeah,
the
I
first,
know. Yeah.
which was the first like proper band I managed. And that was a cold DM. But obviously, if you know anything about them, they're very, very personality. They're very bold, so it's kind of hard to miss it. I think the thing that um, I probably get about 5 or 6 emails a day, but I kind of feel like my name is on a list somewhere of like nothing weird, but kind of more like there's some music forum somewhere where they put like these are all the emerging artist managers in the UK per
You must be on the unsigned guide somewhere, I'm sure of
some surely, do you know what I mean? Because I kind of there are emails where they've literally put that list into like the CC section,
Oh,
and they're just like, so don't do that. Um, don't use the wrong name of the company, you know. Don't get my name wrong. Little bits of research about that makes it feel more human.
mm,
So I want to feel like if you're trying to come, and work with me, you want to work with me specifically. You don't just want to fit a manager space on the board. Do you know what I mean? So definitely take the time to kind of know what you're pitching for. Um, Also, I would say don't like overwhelm the email or DM with like every single thing you've ever done. Like I've had people send me CVs before and I'm like, I'm not, it's not a job interview. Do you know what I mean? So, just give me the hits, give me the sort of think that the people that you are pitching to are going to have, because they will at least 5 or 6 of these emails a day. So just try and make yourself stand out and don't make them bored, basically.
I
That's the
see.
book.
I say that to us all the time. Stop sending an email with paragraph to paragraph to paragraph because people are busy. They're not going to have time to sit there and go through and do all of that. You need to be concise a little bit and be quite value led. I really like that. A lot of artists will be going, I'm starting out, I'm writing my own music, I've got to promote my own events, do this, do that. I need a manager. But ultimately, they're not ready yet. A manager's not ready to take on that emerging artists and develop them. So how does someone know their manager ready versus it's still a bit too early? Because I think a lot of artists do reach out a little bit too soon. It's not a bad thing getting on someone's radar and going to take them for a coffee or a beer. But yeah, well, what's your opinion on that?
It's a really tough one to answer because I think every sort of artist manager relationship is very different and unique. So what could be the right time for one manager could be way too early for somebody else. But in my case, when that sort of instance happens where somebody reaches out and they think they're ready to go, and I know that they've started this project 2 weeks ago, you kind of need to get a little bit of, you just sharpen the blade a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Before you kind of you're battle ready. Essentially, that's a really weird analogy. I don't know if I've come that, but you need to I need to feel like you're ready to go, at least to the point of the first kind of steps. And I think that can be a different point for different artists. But don't be offended if a manager comes back and says, "Hey, look, really liking what you're doing. You're definitely on my radar, but it's not ready right now." That should be more of a sort of klaxon call for, okay, what I'm doing is going in the right direction. If this person thinks that the fact they've taken the time to reply to you at all means that clearly they like you enough to do that. Because
Yeah.
I'm not going to be honest, like 8% of emails don't get replied to. So that proves that you're doing something good. So just keep that. Manage yourself. You have to be your own manager before someone else gets involved, because you need to be your own biggest supporter and advocate. As much as a manager will be, you need to advocate for yourself and just
That's
keep pushing it.
such good feedback for people to hear. I'm really happy you said that. Do you ever go looking for artists yourself, or is it always artists coming to you?
Uh, it depends. It depends, because now I've been doing it for so long that usually the industry is quite a small place. So if somebody reaches out to somebody else, or an agent or a promoter or something, they'll quite often flow my name to these artists because they know they've worked with me before. So quite often there'll be a connection where someone just put my name in the mix without me having to do anything. But I still quite like the old school approach of, quite often I'll just be going out for a beer in, East London, and suddenly there'll be that kind of like bit in the film where the light sort of shifts to the stage and there'll be this sort of Star is Born moment. So sometimes things happen like that. I would say more often than not, basically what happens is just there's a buzz in the industry about an artist. People start talking amongst themselves, being like, "Oh, have you heard about this or this?" And
Absolutely.
then I'll go and check it out. But it really doesn't take that a lot for that to start happening. It just takes you sort of like getting yourself out there, because, as I said, it's really small. So
Yeah, I say to us all the time, your song's your asset. You can go away and make a great brand, be consistent on socials because that's where you're going to reach people. They're scrolling, and try and build these super fans. People that come to all the shows, buy all the merch, because anyone on that industry line, from myself to you to booking agent to label, you've got proof. You've got undeniable proof that people just adore you and your music. And I try and make a like a focal point for artists to kind of go there. And you're right, this industry is so small, and I think artists need to realize that reputation, things that it can start a small fire can go quite quickly around. I've seen it many times. Um, I want to talk a little bit about money with you, Jack, if that's okay. You don't need to give me specifics, but I feel like when I started in this industry 10 years ago, it was always a manager will take a 20% cut and that's it. I think that's really developed over the last few years, and that definitely doesn't seem to be the case as a standard thing anymore. Not just for yourself, but I'm sure you've got friends and managers as well. What normally happens? Where do these discussions take place? What does a standard deal look like in the industry now?
well, I think it's always been the case that the standard agreement, there is no real standard agreement. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has been since sort of day one industry. Every deal looks slightly different. I would argue that it's a lot more artists favored nowadays in a lot of regards, um, compared to 1950s cigar smoking. But still, it is a real important issue. So I always say to the artists that I'm working with, you need to have a really grown up conversation at the beginning, because when you're signing a management agreement, it's the one time, hopefully, in an artist management relationship that you're going to be on opposite sides of the table from each other.
Yeah.
So you need to really be honest, transparent of what you're doing. Now, with me, because I don't have any sort of want or desire to be in illegal settings for longer than I have to, I will use the Music Managers Forum template and just literally change the names, because I know for 100% fact that it is the most fair artist-led agreement for
Absolutely.
both sides of the table. So anything kind of in that ballpark is good. The percentage can change depending on where the artist is in their career. A manager is probably going to get 5% of Taylor Swift's, if they're lucky. But if there's an emerging artist playing in Hoxton to 5 people, clearly the contract might look slightly different. So it depends. But you have to be careful and know what you're signing beforehand. Take a really transparent conversation. That's the only way to make it work.
I massively agree because when I look at the most healthy manager artist relationships that I see, Jack, it's like you said, you have to have a big grown up conversation to start and go, these are my expectations. You have to almost be really, really aligned from day one. And the people I've seen that have that tend to go on to do good things, and they know that there's no conversation, there's no re-agreement because it's all been kind of said from the start. From where I'm sat anyway. In terms of decisions that get made today, who has the final say? Is it the creative versus business? Like you said, are you on the same team trying to get to a goal, maybe in different ways? How does that look?
It totally depends on what the artist wants. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the idea of success for the artist is that they have complete creative autonomy and they just want to purely put all their eggs in the creative basket. Then, okay, that's the kind of direction we'll go in. Clearly, there's got to be a little bit of business acumen. Otherwise, there's no point in a manager being there. But if they're much more on that side of the fence, that's cool. Equally, if an artist comes to me and goes, which has happened with a lot of artists that I've worked with, they've gone, you know what, I just want to make sure that this is something that's sustainable and that I want to be in it for the long term. I want to be, I will make compromises along the line to get to a place where I feel like the industry is going to be a bit more stable. We can go in that direction as well. I tend to try and advocate clearly for a bit of both. I think there's no point being a musician if you're not enjoying what you're doing, unless you're making loads and loads of money, but without sort of giving the game away, that's not particularly common. So I would argue that you need to really be enjoying it and just be sensible and do things as they come and hopefully try and get in the right direction.
What's the biggest myth musicians believe about kind of making it? Because like you said, most of them want to have a sustainable career and do their art, do their creative passion as their career. But is there any myths you see, especially around music management?
Um, I would say that the kind of making it in your head before you've kind of been in the industry for a while, you're kind of watching the movie of your life in your head, and there's a sort of like seminal moment where it feels like, right, I've arrived. Whereas I would say, at least in my experience, there's never really a kind of final destination, not the film, but like a sort of a point on the map, of like, this is the place where I can now do what I want. It's much more of a sort of constant, moving across the board sort of thing, which sounds not as exciting, but actually what it does mean is that you need to be constantly engaged all the time. You can't just put your feet up and relax. There's no like magical number of streaming algorithm numbers that's going to mean that you can take your foot off. It's kind of, it's a constant journey. And then with management, I would say the myth is, from an artist's point of view, is that just because you have a manager, hopefully someone that you trust and believe in, it doesn't mean you're not going to be involved on that side of the fence. Like you will still need to be in direct communication with your manager about a lot of stuff, even if they're doing some of the behind the scenes stuff. In a healthy artist manager relationship, the big things should be put past you. Because at the end of the day, a manager is working for you.
Yeah.
So no matter if the manager is more experienced than you, like a young band of an older manager, at the end of the day, the dynamic should still be the manager works for you. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty yourself and look behind the scenes and ask them questions about the decisions they're making. That's what I'm saying.
You're absolutely spot on. Again, it comes down to having that healthy relationship and someone you trust, someone that you can build with. And it's hard to find, to be in the same chemistry and really click like that. But no, it's brilliant to hear. Jack, we've got a load of questions on the Discord for people that can't make it. We've got people in the webinar who want to ask you questions. I think it's absolutely there that they should get their turns. The first one I've got from Discord, they've asked, what's changed the most about your job since you've started?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say the social media landscape has been the main thing that's changed. I would say that when I was first starting, it was clearly very different to how things went in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but still I would walk in and have a conversation about music immediately. And there would be a sort of musical pitch. Whereas I feel like nowadays, what I would say back in the day is, okay, these guys have social numbers as a kind of cherry on top.
Yeah.
Whereas now I would say it's almost step one before I can even get in the door to have that conversation. They want to know that there's traction before they get involved.
I've always seen, I've seen our role at LMS UK as a stepping stone to get them to that next level. You need that first step on the social, the brand, because that's where the first thing people do now isn't listen to music, it's go on the Instagram, whether it's a fan or an industry person. I just think it's such a key step, like you said.
Yeah. So I would say that's the main thing that's changed. And I don't know quite how I feel about it, because I think if you're signing something, you should be involved in the development and be willing to kind of take that step with them. But the reality is, from A&R people, at least in my experience, is that they can't really be asked to do that anymore. So they kind of want to know that there's something there. So that is really important at this point.
Incredible. Right, I'm going to go down some of the questions we've had here from the people live. YesUB's asked, I'm an emerging artist and I've decided to put a debut album together as I've only been releasing singles for a number of years now. Do you reckon it's smart to reach out to management at the start of the concept or once it's finished the album or even once a few of the demos are down, given the idea and direction?
So just unpacking that, is that reaching out after they've recorded
Yeah,
everything?
I get this question a lot actually. Shouldn't artists reach out before they're releasing, during, after? Is there a good period to do it in, or are they thinking too much about it and actually should just dive in?
Um, what I always say is that the best time is any time, and it's better to do it than to not do it. So don't not do it because you're worried it's never going to be the right time. Just get it sent in. I prefer to be involved from the beginning of something because I'm a bit more the creative side of the fence. So I really would enjoy that personally. But equally, if a manager is perhaps more kind of business management led, they will probably prefer it to be a bit towards the end when they can kind of see the tangibles. So it depends what you want from a manager. If you want someone that's a bit more kind of like involved in the artistic side and helping shaping emerging concepts and branding and stuff from day one, I would say go early. If you want more of a sort of business manager that kind of does stats and stuff, like later is better. But I would just say get it in at some point and don't not do it because you're worried about it.
Yeah, I massively agree. And I know Dale's here on the call. Like at the Wigwam event, Grassroot Connects, Dale would actually go and I was like, go and speak to this person, big hug, this person. And it's brilliant because what in the face with someone is just so much more effective. Even if you are reaching out on cold messages, try and get a meeting with them, try and go and have a beer. That's where I see most deals get done. That's why we do the Grassroot Connects every year in January to get managers, eyes, industry people together. Kat, you've asked some amazing questions. You're here on the call. Do you want to ask them directly or do you want me to read it out?
Okay, sure. No, that's okay. That's quite all right. Hello, Jack. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Josh. It's an interesting question. I don't know how it suits the conversation, but I'm a seasoned musician and singer songwriter. I signed my first deal like back in '92. That age, and I'm still a woman of age, and I consider myself a singer songwriter, presenter, radio host, and I just trying to figure out how can I approach a manager to believe in the same thing. Is there that there is a market for me? Someone like C6 Steve, who has a demographic of he's not that old, but he looks a bit older, and he attracts even a younger demographic. I'm just trying to find a manager who can believe in me and support me as a singer songwriter and with my talents. And how will I approach someone? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Hello, lovely to meet you, by the way. I would say those type of managers are definitely out there. I've met them. I know that the type of people you're looking for are there. It's just going to be a numbers game of kind of find the right one. It's like any kind of relationship. Like you need to date a little bit and find out if it's the right person or not, you know. So I would say get out and network and be amongst it and be actively looking for it. There are lots of sort of it's kind of like it's kind of like speed dating a little bit kind of situations that the music managers forum sets up. So I would definitely say have a look at those. And
Managers
ask
forum. Where would I find the managers forum?
the music managers forum, MMF.
Oh,
It's kind of more for my side of things. But they do have, I believe, a musician seeking management section. Or at least they did at one point. So that is something that could be really helpful, I think, in this instance.
okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that I do for the artists here at LMS. So give me an email afterwards and we can talk about it.
Okay.
Because
Thank you,
Jack's absolutely spot on. There's a section on the MMF with all of that, which is great. Yeah, thank you for the great advice as well. That was top, Jack. Jack, this has been one of the genuinely most useful conversations we've had on here. If people want to support Oddity Management, where can they go? How can they support?
Yeah, so we have a Instagram account which is Oddity Music UK.
Oh,
Um,
DITY.
yeah, like Space Oddity.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
And it's the one with the sort of strange eyeball logo,
Yeah.
which we did 10 years ago and can't change now. But I would say, yeah, follow us on that. We usually post what we're up to, new releases. And then I've got a contact section on there. So if anyone wants to touch base and you know, send me what they're working on or ask any more questions, feel free to get in contact.
Incredible, Jack. I really appreciate your time. I think it's been absolutely second to none, some of the advice you've dropped today, and really aligns with me. I've learned a lot. For artists that aren't quite ready to get management yet, use the Backstage Pass every day. Gives you the opportunities. It teaches you great sessions just like this, new opportunities every single day. So if you're an artist, get involved in that and check it out. And please do follow Oddity Music. And Jack, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I really appreciate your time, guys. What do we say to him?
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening, people. Bye bye.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.